before.
Lewis Art for the Ring magazine, always good to be joined with Frank Smith here. Weigh-ins all concluded, everyone's made weight this time. Conor Benn coming in heavier, just a little bit by Conor Benn than Chris Eubank Jr. Surprised by that?
Not really. They both looked in great shape. I think Conor was 159.3, Chris was 159.1. Conor is distraught he doesn't get another Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Do you think Eubank made a statement there coming in that light?
I've always said I don't think the 160 weight, hence why they've always made the push that that's his natural weight, that's the fights he wants are all at 160, Adames, Janabek, Lara for world titles. I don't think 160 has ever been a problem for it. Don't get me wrong, it gets harder as it gets older, of course it does, but that is his natural weight.
I guess, because as you see there was a lot that was made out of the weight. There was a lot that was made out of the weight for Eubank Jr. about him outgrowing the weight, but clearly there still seems like he has no problems making it from your surprise.
Look, I mean, if you were really struggling to make weight, you'd be 160, bang on, to the point, so it kind of proves that point that 160 is the weight he should be at. People will say about the second day weigh-in, but the piece around the second day weigh-in is that he has openly said in interviews in the past, he puts on 7, 8, 9. Yeah. He's not a big guy, He's not a big guy, and that will be obviously tomorrow's weigh-in. Last time I think he was 2 or 3 pound under with clothes on. So
you got no issue with the rehydration then with him making it, I guess?
No, I don't believe there's any issue, and I've always said this when we were talking about the fight before. I've always said I don't think there's any issue with the second day weigh-in with him, like as in from when I'm talking to the team on our side, I'm like, I don't think that's a problem for him. I don't think he's the kind of guy that goes off, and some fighters go off and do, chuck a load of food down there and a load of liquid and, jump back up 15, 16 pound. They do. But I don't think he's that kind of guy. You look at him when he's walking around, I wouldn't even expect he's much, over 170-ish, just in his out of camp. He's not a big guy. He never has been.
Why was there such a big deal about it then?
What, last time?
No, but why did they, this time? Everyone made a big deal about it.
I mean, the big deal was he posted the videos of him making 160, which the reality is a lot of fighters go through a lot to make the weight they fight at. That's just the truth of it, and he's got a team around him of professionals whose job it is to determine whether he can safely make the weight, as do all fighters, and they feel he can, as he's proven today, making 159.1, he can make the weight. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's part of the business we're in, isn't it? Fighters push themselves to make the weight that they feel they can be strongest at. At 168, I don't think he would ever go back to 168 and fight unless it was for a mega fight. When it comes to the second day weigh-in, it's people saying with Conor's putting that in place. Well, Conor's coming up a lot. Conor isn't a big guy. He's a 147 naturally. So that was always in place. That was always going to be the way to make this fight. And it's not the first fight on earth that's had a second day weigh-in. It won't be the last. And as we know, there's IBF rules where at certain weights it's I think 12 pounds. So it's not unheard of that this happens. I think people like to. Again, it's all narrative. It's all narrative. The stuff he posted last time of him making weight, it's narrative, and that's what he does.
What did you make of the presser yesterday?
I love Silent Night music. I think it was good. It was good. Look, I think Chris has won many of the pressers. I'll be honest. But I think he got schooled yesterday. So it's going to be interesting. What was
I guess the accusation made towards the security guard Ivan that Matchroom weren't allowing him? I know Eddie said in an interview that the evidence was brought forward about the ambulance that was subsequently dropped. So what is the situation there from that accusation?
I think when you talk about things, you have to give the full picture, right? So firstly, when it comes to this ambulance piece, not one person from Chris Eubank's team, boxer, anyone, approached the stadium after the fight, after April, and went, we need to discuss what the issues were. Not one person, right? The witness statement that came through was written in September, around the second press conference. It's all for narrative, right? And our job is to make the event as safe as possible. I spoke to Ivan yesterday. Ivan's a contractor that works for Lions Den Security. Lions Den Security are the appointed security company for all Riyadh season seller Ring magazine shows. They don't work for Matchroom. Brendan worked for Lions Den. Ivan worked for Lions Den on that show. Ivan has worked for Lions Den for a number of shows. Ivan wasn't there in a capacity of Chris's sole personal security guard, as he said yesterday. Ivan was there representing Lions Den, who are the security company that work all of the events, not for Matchroom.
Yeah.
And he provided a witness statement, which was inaccurate, which he then revoked himself. I spoke to Ivan on the phone yesterday. He didn't have a problem. He agreed that it was probably best he wasn't involved in this event because of what had happened.
Yeah.
You know, so the suggestion that I've stopped it, I spoke to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Again, it's all narrative. Our job is my job is to run successful events, right? I've done it for 17 years of my life. I've put the biggest shows on in boxing, and that's not from an egotistical point of view, it's just the reality. And, you know, the safety of fighters, the safety of the event is key. Mm-hmm. You know, none of us have got the interest of that's what I find crazy. What interest have I got in Chris being tripped up or headlocked on the way to the ring? But I mean, the fight doesn't happen. You think that's any good for me?
Yeah.
No. Like I want the event to be as safe as possible, and that's, you know, you got to laugh.
Because I guess with that, because I spoke to Ben Shalom yesterday, and when I brought up the ambulance gate, and I said, like, to him, like, would you be willing to take responsibility? And he said yes. Like, do you think there's any responsibility that needs to be taken from a Matchroom side on that situation?
As I've said in interviews before, we will always ensure the event is as safe as possible. The British Boxing Board of Control have said that all protocols were followed. Right?
Yeah, I said that to Ben, but he was like, didn't believe me.
No, he did. Robert Smith said it himself.
That's what I said to him.
Exactly. But you have to understand, Ben has to follow the narrative of what his client is saying.
Yeah.
So if he sits there and goes, well, no, everything, you know, like, he doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
You know, Ben's not the best of times, let alone under tricky situations. Mm-hmm. Our job, though, I will always go back to the point, we will make it as safe as we possibly can and put all the measures in place to make the event as safe as we possibly can.
Okay.
And that's what we'll do. And there'll be improvements for this show, you know, and my job last time was not with Chris Eubank. We were not, Boxer were dealing with Chris Eubank Jr. You know?
Yeah.
We didn't have it, you can tell the relationship's not the best, is it?
Yeah.
So I'm not hanging around Chris Eubank Jr. constantly.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't want me there.
Yeah, of course.
His promoter is there, who have got 20 people there who are co-signatories on the event. Yeah. That's their job. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
You know, they have as much right on that show. They had as much right to talk to Tottenham as I did.
Yeah, I did mention that. That's what I brought up to him. Yeah.
So, like, you know, and that's not me swerving. Like, I will always be. I want the event to be as safe as possible. Yeah. You know, but I'm not going to go and sit in his changing room because he wouldn't want me in this fucking changing room. I wouldn't want to. You know, I don't want to be in his changing room.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to. When you talk about these things, you have to look at all of the information, not just a selected bit that suits one party.
Yeah. Obviously, Eubank Sr. being there, and I understand that's a difficult sort of topic for you with the stuff that he comes out with, whether it be in breaking the rules. But he also said the hatred doesn't come from Junior or Ben; it comes from, you know, Hearn or the promoters. Like, Eddie had his right to respond and said he didn't like him and sort of called him a liar. I know I'm not trying to get these out of you, but what do you make, I guess, of those comments that come out on fight week?
Look, a promoter's job is to promote an event and build up an event. You know, that's part and parcel of it. You know, there's lots of people I've worked with in the past where we haven't always seen eye to eye, but you understand it's the game and it's part of the show, you know. And Eddie doesn't hate. Eddie doesn't care about it. Like, he wants to put on the biggest events and the biggest nights and make the biggest fights. The hatred, like Conor and Chris don't like each other. They've got a bit more respect now after what they've been through. But it's not. What do you think? Conor's getting in there because Eddie doesn't like Chris? No, it's because it's the biggest fight possible to be made. And Eddie's job is to talk up the fight and build up the fight and build up the show, as any promoter's job is. So I don't agree with what he's saying. You know, but everyone's got their opinion as to what's right and wrong. But yeah, I don't really understand that part of it. The fighters are getting in there and having a fight. Our job's to make it as big as possible so they make as much money as possible.
Yeah, a last few from myself. Any situation, I guess, cleared up with the gloves? I know Eubank made it a thing in the first presser about the horsehair gloves. Don't know what you can and can't say. I asked it to Shalom yesterday and he was a bit like coy on it. I'm right in saying that it was a selection yesterday. Was everything
all fine?
Okay.
Yeah, the gloves are as per, you know, British Boxing Board of Control regulation, all approved. Glove meeting was done, so yeah, no issues there.
Okay, interesting. And look, just away from this weekend's fight, I did want to ask you about Dalton Smith against Subriel Matias. A lot's been made, I guess, of it. Ticket prices,
They're much higher.
broadcaster. I think the cheapest one is about $99 or $100. Don't want to be wrong there. And obviously the fight being on pay-per-view.com as well. Look, you aren't the promoters, and I understand that the purse bid was lost, but when you look at these factors, are you still confident the fight happens on the 10th of January?
I mean, it has to. They've got a legal obligation to do it. They've put up their bid, and if it doesn't happen, then we have to look at boxing and purse bids, don't we? And we have to look at how people can ensure they fund these things. We made a massive bid for that fight, a bid we thought would win. We didn't win, obviously, but then when you look at all of these elements, that's why they need to try and get as much money as possible, and then the fans will look at it and go, oh, I can't pay that, or I can't afford that, or so I'm confident the fight will happen, because otherwise legally he won't have a leg to stand on. It's signed to happen.
Okay, interesting. Look, Frank, appreciate the time as always. Good to catch up. Yeah, cheers.